Right, sweet, we're on. All right, guys. So for everyone that hasn't trained with Chris before, this is Chris. Chris is a member at CrossFit Minerva. He's also my personal physio, he's who keeps me able to train. And I do his heading, going to see him and listening to some of his advice and not listening to all of it. But over all of my time in CrossFit and in rugby, I've seen a ton of physios, and I really trust Chris with my own body. So really take what he has to say and kind of soak as much of what you can get out of him in, because he knows his shit. So
thanks, Tommy.
No worries, mate. So I'll let you just give a little spiel on yourself, kind of what you're about, who you work for.
So my name's Chris. I'm a physiotherapist over at Coast Sport. So recently graduated, coming into physiotherapy from last year, but during all my placements, I had a heavy involvement in sport. So I had a few placements, such as at Man Seagulls, had a couple of elite soccer teams. So kind of been involved around a elite sport setting, and I also had a few little bonus kind of placements with a CrossFit physio / box owner when I was coming through the ranks down in Sydney. So that was good to learn a bit, and nice to see how physio fits within a CrossFit environment, because telling you guys just not to train definitely does not work. I'm sure you guys can all vouch for that. But the biggest thing is trying to find how can we get you guys to keep training, and we might have to modify a few things, but we can keep you at the box. It's the best outcome for both of us. All right.
Sweet. All right, I think we'll get into it with probably the biggest first question we can start with. So, is CrossFit dangerous, Chris, in your opinion?
We can debunk that one straight away. So CrossFit's far from dangerous. There was a nice research paper a few years ago. Basically, it compared injury rates in CrossFit to all the other sports. So long distance running, field sports, athletics, and CrossFit is at a 20% injury rate, which is bang in line with all the others. So if anything, I would say it's more dangerous to not be doing a variation of exercise. So you can complete CrossFit safely. So within a program under supervised training, that's a lot healthier way of life. Definitely not dangerous. Especially comparing it to things like long distance running, field sports, AFL, rugby union, it's no more dangerous than any of those. So as long as you complete it safely, I'm on board with it.
Sweet, that's good. You got it from the expert there. Okay, the next one that we see a lot in CrossFit and at Minerva, we always like to teach you the foundations first. So if you're going to do kick-in pull-ups, we want you to have strict pull-ups first, so a good base of strict strength. If you're going to do handstand push-ups, we want you to have strict handstand push-ups. Do you agree with that, Chris? Or that doesn't really matter? What's the go there?
I think you know where I stand with that one. So 100% hands down, you need a strict foundation to any powerlifting or any gymnastics work. So starting strict to build that foundation of strength gives you that foundation to be able to complete those explosive gymnastics movements. So for example, the easiest one to think about is a pull-up. You need to be able to have the strict strength to be able to pull yourself up before you're going through that kipping motion, because when you do kick, it actually requires more strength to do a kick. It might seem easier, but you've got to control your midline, and you're going to, what's the best way to put this, like various wider range of motion. So you're in your end range of motion during a kick. And end range of motion is where people really struggle with their strength. So you need to have that baseline strength that you will get through a strict pull-up before you can jump into a kicking pull-up. And same thing with handstand push-ups. Like if you don't have the concentric or eccentric strength to go down, let alone go down, if you don't have the eccentric strength for a handstand push-up, you're going to be falling straight on your head. I know from experience that's not very
straight on your neck. Do you have any numbers around that? So like any numbers of strict pull-ups that you'd like to see people have, like a set number before they start practicing kicking? Or would you say like get one strict and then it's okay to start practicing?
Let's say like 10 is a nice round number, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you can get, and I understand 10 strict pull-ups can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
But if you can kind of set the bar high, and if you can get, let's say 5 stricts, and then you might use a band or drop the weight down or drop the bar down, so you can't do a barbell pull-up. So then you can get that extra 5 out. So basically, the more strict pull-ups you can get, the more easier keeping pull-up all the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
But definitely, let's say between 5 to 10. 10 would be ideal.
Yeah.
Just kind of get that foundation right and then just build up from that.
And the more strict strength you have, I guess, the easier from performance point of view. Someone that can do 10 strict is going to have no problem doing 20 kick. And not the other way around. Sweet. So the next question I've got for you is like most injuries. So why, in your opinion, do most injuries happen, or what causes most injuries?
I think the biggest cause for an injury, and there's probably two things here. There's probably an increase in your volume, so doing more of something, or completing something that's a novelty, so something new. So if you increase something or bring in something new that you haven't done before, your body doesn't have the tissue capacity to look after yourself. So the best example of that is, like, you look at the people in CrossFit Games. They work out 3 times a day, every day, and they seem fine. They don't have too many injuries. But if one of us, if I did it or if you did it, myself, if I was to do their programming, that I would break down because my tissue tolerance isn't at that level to be able to do that high volume. So yeah, basically you have a really strict or a really increase, like a very sharp increase in your volume. You're putting your tissues at kind of risk of like tendon pain or overload injuries. And so if you can just kind of keep a nice gradual build up with that, hopefully those injuries stay in the back pocket and you can get through your workouts.
So what you're saying is basically don't go 0 to 100.
Yeah,
just like go 0 to 10, and then from 10 to 20, 20 to 30. So if you don't do any push-ups, don't go and do 200 a day every day.
No, those challenges going around at the moment are a good luck, especially at work. So it's that same thing. It's just that increase in volume. So, and I think the running one going around at the moment is run 1 kilometre further a day for the entire month. And I have to check my maths here, but basically I think that means if you do 1 kilometre a day for the entire month, so you run an extra K each day, I think that equates to about like 460 something Ks for that month. And if you haven't run 460 something Ks for the last couple of months, I can tell you right now, you're going to be breaking down in the back end of that month.
Sweet. So I guess what you're saying basically is most injuries, in your opinion, occur from doing too much too fast, basically, or doing too, like a good thing, say like a push-up or running might be great, but doing a really sharp increase on the amount of volume you do is what causes most.
Yeah, when you bring in these new movements or movements that you don't pass, just build it up slowly, listen to the programming. The programming won't put you under the bus. Kind of just gradually build it up and you'll be safe and your tissues will look after themselves.
Cool. The next thing I had for you is everyone's going to be at home at the moment, kind of not in a gym. They don't have access to a lot of bands and a lot of like the kind of funky stretches and stuff that we kind of do here at the gym. What's an easy way they can release their shoulder? Because that's going to probably get pretty tight. People are sitting at home and working at the desk a lot at the moment. And an easy way they can release their low back or stretch their low back, because they're probably 2 areas that are going to get tighter because they're going to be sitting down more and then going into exercise kind of a lot colder than what they normally do.
Yeah.
So what's 2 of your kind of
let's get my favourite for the shoulder is probably getting a trigger ball into the back of your cup. And you guys have all done that in the gym here. So when you lay down on whether it be a cricket ball, a hockey ball, or a spiky ball, probably not a tennis ball, probably it's not hard enough for that, but laying down in that posterior cup and then taking your arm through some ranges. So taking your shoulder through an internal rotation range or back into external rotation, and then change how you have your shoulder in that position. So you might do some down here, you might bring it up into here a little bit more. Play around with it and find those spots that get a bit sticky and just get that trigger ball into there. And when it comes to your lower back, like I would find probably your cat camels, so your cat camel, your child's pose, your cobras, they're all good ones for your lower back, just to get that kind of flexion extension movement happening. We know with your thoracic spine, it's a lot of rotation work, so kind of doing your thread the needle work. But the other thing when it comes to your lower back, just run back to that, is doing a little bit of hip mobility as well. Because we know your lower back and your hips are so well connected that a really tight through the back of your hips or tight through the front of your hips can just play a role in how your lower back's going to be moving. So making sure you get your lower back mobility in, but don't forget about your hip mobility to make sure you get those. And if you have any questions with those, just let us know and we can send you a couple of videos over on how to do some hip mobility.
Sweet, cheers. And then the other thing too, like you hear people say all the time, like everything's connected and the body's all that one system. Like if you have an injury in one area, say for example, like I have an injury in my hip, and then I get an injury in my neck, is it connected like that? Like if I have a hip issue or a glute issue or a back issue going on, is it actually going to cause an issue somewhere else down the pipeline?
Oh, 100%. So the best way to think about that is when you're doing, so if everyone was in here at the gym and was doing a strict press, so strict shoulder press, so say you had 30 kilos and that was what your strict press was. I reckon everyone here, if they were doing a push press, could do more weight. Hands up if you think you could. If you're doing a push press, you could probably do more than a strict press. Yeah, so that shows you how much your hips and your legs influence what's going up on your shoulders. So there was a study that kind of looked at that kind of kinetic chain involvement, and what it found was for every 1 kilo of force dropped in your hips, it was an extra 4 kilos of load placed on your shoulder. So if you're doing let's say a heavy snatch workout and let's say RX is 50 kilos, so you're doing an RX with 50 kilo snatches and you're getting through to let's say the 20th rep or something like that, and you start to lose that kind of hip strength, your shoulder's going to be getting a lot more force put through it to get that bar above head, because it doesn't have the legs to help it out anymore. In your case, like if you've got a lower limb injury, you won't have the force to get that bar up above head. You've got to widen your shoulders a lot more. So you end up having with an overloaded shoulder, so then you get that shoulder pain. So you got to make sure you address both that local shoulder area, but the whole kinetic chain.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Is there anything else you wanted to add or anything?
The other thing, guys, and this is really important for me, is making sure your programming or your training's under supervision. And so there was another good study that looked at CrossFit injuries and whether they were supervised or not supervised. So that injury rate that we said at the beginning of 20%, it actually went up to 31%, which was pretty high if people were unsupervised. But if you were supervised, so for example, how Tommy's running these Zoom classes, or if you're having a one-on-one session with someone, for example, that injury rate actually halved. So it went all the way down to 14%, which is really low, really fantastic. So just making sure your training is under some type of supervision or you're following a programming guide.
Sweet, okay. Good points. All right, guys, what I might do is I will come over and I'll unmute everyone. Just raise your hand if you've got a question for Chris, and I'll unmute you first. I know, Steph, you had one, so I'll unmute you. All right, go for it, Steph.
Hey, Chris, how you going?
Good, Steph, how are you?
Good, thank you. Since I've been in the garage training, I've been getting a pain in my ring finger on my left hand when I'm doing like body weight, like push-ups and stuff like that.
Just on when your wrist is in that kind of cocked position up through here.
Yeah, when I'm like doing a push-up or a burpee, I'm getting like a pain in my hand.
Yeah. Hands are a funny one. They're a very intricate kind of mechanism, but if you just start think of the positions that you're getting that pain in. So a lot of the time, sometimes you might be just either overloading that joint a little bit if it's a bit kind of stiff and cranky, or that extensor tendon that runs down the back of the hand if that pain's in that area. And a couple of things that you could play around with is burpees are a hard one, but maybe with your push-ups, if you can find some handles and try doing the push-up in that kind of neutral grip position, and just seeing if changing that wrist position, it might be if you turn the hands out a little bit or get into that neutral wrist position, whether or not that just unloads that kind of extensor tendon or that kind of the joint capsule, what might be getting overloaded. Hands are tricky though, so if it's persisting, we do have Tim at work is kind of going down the specialization pathway for hands. So if it is starting to get that lingering pain and it's getting in the way of your participation of the workouts, let us know and I'll get Tim to look into it for you.
Cool, thank you.
Sweet. Byron, I know you had a question, so I'll just mute you, Steph, and I'll unmute you, Byron. You're actually unmuted, Byron. Go for it.
Good on you, mate. How you going, mate? if I have a totally ruptured ligament in my left ankle, which has been like that since 1987, so it's nothing new. And I just want to know if there's any kind of extra things I can do to make sure I keep the strength up in it.
So that line was pretty broken, but was that saying a ruptured ligament from 1987?
Hang on. I've lost all sound.
Yeah, it's pretty broken.
I'll chuck the headphones in, dude, if it's...
Oh, there you go. I've got sound back now. And yeah, my line is really crap.
Yeah, mate, go for it. Don't have him. I can't hear you, but I can't hear you, mate. But what I'll do, I'll get Tommy to send your I'll get him to send my email over to you and send me an email with that question, and I'll let you know. Just can't really hear that at the moment.
You know what? You can also chuck it in the chat box. Byron, you can also just chuck that in the chat box down below. You can type your question in, and then I can read it out. Yeah. That's probably the easiest way. If anyone else has got a question, you can either do the same thing. You can either type it in the chat box below and I'll pull it up, or just raise your hand and I'll actually come over and unmute you. Vic, oh, yeah. Sweet. Yeah, Byron, if you just keep typing that in the chat box, and then once we've done Vic, we'll come back to you. All right, Vic, fire away, mate. Just say that again, Vic. Your audio was not, there was nothing coming through. No, it's still not coming through. I might have to get you to type it in the chat box as well, because there's nothing like, yeah, you're unmuted, but there's no sound coming out of you. All right, anyone else have any other questions? Here we go. Sweet, Byron. All right.
Totally ruptured. I have a totally ruptured ligament in my left ankle outside, and it has been that way since 1987, so nothing new. Is there any extra things I can be doing to maintain that strength? Yeah, just keeping up with your strength work around your calf and around, like, keeping up your squat work, keeping up any extra balance work that you want. So if you're doing like really good ones for balance, I find is getting an uneven weight. So if you had any like thick power bands at home, for example, get it on a broomstick and tie something to the power band so that the weights are kind of bouncing around a little bit, and then do like your arabesque or single leg deadlift. So then that way you've got this load that's kind of moving around, and your body's got to challenge itself to keep it nice and stable, if that helps. Yeah, sweet.
Sweet, Fix.
Anything? Is there anything to do to stop really tight neck and shoulders? Mine gets super tight for days and gets bad headaches. So yeah, necks and shoulders kind of come in the same. You take an assessment to find out, is it more neck or shoulder, or is it more shoulder than neck? That's a good starting point. But if you can find a movement impairment first, so you can do a self-assessment on yourself, and a self-assessment could just be looking over your left shoulder, and if it feels tight looking that way compared to looking over your right side. So the best way to think about it is if you look to the left and you get pain on the left, there's a good chance it could be joint related or something coming from that side. Or if you're looking to the left and you're getting pain on the right, it could be soft tissue related, just getting that stretch. So I'd look at what your strength's like sitting back here, and it might be as simple as if you're in a retracted position and move your neck, you'll get more range of motion or help with that stiffness. So the way you can train that, you can either so the best way is be doing some retraction work, but making sure when you do your retraction work, if you were to watch your elbows when you do it, you're not coming forward into that dumped position. You make sure you stay in that nice open position, and you might just be rowing to your elbow to your hips so that you're in that nice strong position. Then working on like your external rotation strength. So if you get a nice strong retraction and a nice strong retraction and strong external rotation, that shoulder complex is going to sit in a much stronger position. And even if it's getting some shrugs as well going into that. So if you can get back and up into that nice position, hopefully those tissues that come up into your neck, they'll stop causing that kind of tight tension pain that you're getting. But if it's persisting, let us know and we can help you out. Sore elbow, especially during cleans. Yeah. Victor, is it more inside or outside? Right there. So whether, here. Do you get any? Yeah. So my first thing would be looking at what's going on up here. So can you get with your front squat? The biggest thing is checking that external rotation range. So you should be able to hold your arms up in this position and externally rotate that out. So yeah, square up with me. Not too bad. And now do it like that and then come back. So whether or not you've got that restriction in that shoulder, so just working on that shoulder external rotation range. So when you come into that clean position, you're kind of loading through the middle of the joint rather than through that kind of axial loading coming through the side. And that could be something we play around with, whether it also be wrist loading as well. So just checking what's happening at both ends and whether or not if you got whether it is tendon, doesn't sound it. Do you have it on any other issues or just on the cleans coming up into that? Yeah. So I'd look at going, I'd probably focus on that shoulder and see if you can get more range of motion through that shoulder. And hopefully if that cleans that up a little bit, your elbow's coming through a bit more naturally. So I'd check yourself out, see what your range is like side to side, because you're only getting it on that one side. Yeah. So compare yourself side to side and see if you have any deficits in that realm and start working on that. So yeah, start with that shoulder external rotation, kind of overhead positioning. Does that help? Sweet. Corinne, Steph, I get that pain too. I get that pain too on the outside of my fingers, right up my arms, almost like electric shocks when doing push-ups. Yeah, so when you start getting that kind of, that nearly call it sounds like that nerve type of pain, so that kind of tension. So there's a few different tension tests that you can try. There's one that's kind of taking the pizza box backwards over your head. You can try, it's nearly, the other one's like a flick pass in football if you're kind of coming out that way, or you can kind of, the other one's coming up to here. If any of those three things start to bring on that kind of, that same pain, whether or not that nerve's not moving too well, so start looking at the impairments up the chain or even in the neck. So whether you've got that stiff neck and that neck's actually referring pain down the arm. So if it's in that ring finger, there's a good chance it's going to be that lower cervical spine. So this one? Oh, these two. Yeah. Do you get it? And sometimes you get it when you sleep. So you think sometimes if you sleep like this, you wake up and you get that pins and needles down there. Or doing it, yeah. So you can start doing little things like this that help getting it moved. So kind of just start like little pumping motions like this, or it could just be kind of having your hand in this position and just doing some touches like that. But also it'd be interesting to see what's actually going on in your neck and whether any of that's actually, whether it's like joint related pain just shooting down the arm. But more than happy to get in contact with you guys outside this when it's a bit easier to talk and kind of see what's going on. Is there any more? Any other questions, guys?
No one else? No, Byron, all good. Vic and Steph, you guys are all good?
And the questions that I answered, did that kind of answer what you were looking for?
Daz, you're all good? Or you haven't got a screen on, but I'm assuming you're all good? Oh, you might not even be there. All right, guys. All right. If that's it, thank you, Chris, for coming today. I'm sure everyone took a lot of value out of that, and we're going to record, or we have been recording this, and we can post these clips up and post this up for everyone to see in the group. So thank you.
Awesome. And if you guys do have any extra questions, don't be shy to flick me an email. So it would just be chris@cosport.com.au. And if you have any concerns, I can just answer them through that. Alrighty, guys. Well, good luck with your homework training today. It looked tough.
Sweet, guys. I'll see you on tomorrow's call.
See you guys.
Now, if you want to keep this.